Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a motorcycle racing TV show, Team Chicago Challenge. My email is teamdan45@gmail.com. The website is teamchicago.tv. We're at Rosemont, Illinois. We're here for the Corvette Muscle Car Corvette National right here in Rosemont, Illinois. Talk to the guys with Oldsmobile 442s. We're going to talk to those people and look at those great cars. We're going to look at other cars also. It's a big event. It's Friday morning. The show isn't open yet. But this is the best time to be here if I'm going to be talking to people. So let's go check out the action. Muscle Car and Corvette National, Rosemont for 2021. As I scanned the auditorium, I should point out that generally cars that are 50 years old are the featured cars. This show was canceled last year due to the Chinese plague. So this year the featured cars are cars that were built in 1970 and 1971. But before I go into the auditorium, in the lobby I spot this world famous car, and I had the chance to talk to the man that put the Ghostbusters Caddy together.
All right, my name is Lauren Baldwin, and behind you you see the Ghostbusters Ecto-1 replica. I bought this car in 2009 as a bare body, as a shell stripped of everything but the metal. And I spent 2 years collecting all of the parts and all of the necessary parts that are movie specific to build the car. And then that was around 2011, July 2011, when I started putting the car together, paint and body, all the fabrication work, and I was done by about March of 2012. So the biggest question I get is, why did you build the car? Well, one, I'm a fan of the movie. I really liked the original movies in the 80s, and I'm a car guy. So I figured, what a great intersection to build this car. And over the past 10, 11 years, people have just been absolutely crazy about it. Wherever I go, they love it. They want to touch it and feel it. And, you know, it brings the realism of the movie to life. And a lot of people, even children, 3, 4 years old, recognize it, and they just absolutely love it. What this is, it's called a Futura Duplex. And so the coach builder, Miller Meteor, built the car in 1959. And Futura means limousine style, which is windows all around. Instead of having the Landau bars on it, it's got windows all around. And duplex means it's a combination car. It can serve as both a hearse and an ambulance. So this car was bought by a funeral home in Independence, Kansas, and it served as both the local, hearse and ambulance until about 1982, when a painter bought it and moved it to Nebraska. He used it as his work vehicle for about 14 years, and then a family in Indiana bought it in '96, and they used it as a daily driver up until about 2005 when they wanted to restore it. Unfortunately, the owner fell on ill health and had to sell it. Posted an ad in Hemmings, and an hour later,
you bought it?
Yes.
So what year exactly is this?
This is a 1959. The Cadillac chassis, and then Miller Meteor, the coach builder, all the bodywork.
Thank you, Lauren. How great is it to own the Ghostbusters Caddy? As we look at the cover of the program for this event, we spot this 1970 GTO Judge. This is that car, and I had the opportunity to talk to the owner of this lovely GTO.
Patrick Biazzi. This is a 1970 convertible Judge. This car was restored by Legendary Motors back in 2005. It's one of 2 that's known to exist in this color combination. It's a 4-speed Ram Air 3 car. It's got all the original parts to the car, including date-coated tires, Canadian tires. This is a Canadian car. 4-speed is very rare, obviously. I've had the car for about 3 years now. I got a a call from a buddy of mine saying he knew where this great car was, and I couldn't pass on it. Orbit Orange being, of course, the color of the car. It was up at the Concours d'Elegance in Detroit this year and won Best of Class. And that's pretty much all I can say about the car.
Well, they put the car on.
Yeah, they put the,
on the tag there.
They put the car on the tag. It's a great car. You know, I don't drive it, obviously.
You don't drive it?
No. Just in and out.
So what kind of other cars you own?
I also own the Ls6 Convertible over there also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I own a few cars.
Tell me about that car.
Sure, that's a cool car. That's a 70 Ls6 Convertible. It's probably the most documented one in the country. That car was restored in 1990 by a well-known Chevelle restorer. That car retains all its original parts. It's absolutely incredible. When I had that at a show also, and some well-known Chevelle guy came up and goes, "When was this thing restored? Because you can't get a lot of these parts."
Right.
That's in 1990. It's held up really well. It's a 4-speed bench seat car, and that's my baby over there. Both of these cars. I love these cars.
Thank you, Patrick. Two lovely cars. As we look at this line of GM built 1970 and 1971, got Chevelles, GTOs, Buick GSs, well cared for cars, looking like they just rolled off the showroom. And now we're looking at a group of Dodge GTXs. And then we spot this 1970 Dodge Challenger RT with a 426 Hemi called the Black Ghost, notorious street racer, with a strange looking vinyl top. And across from that car I spot this Mercury Cyclone with a 429 engine. I know I've never seen one of those cars with that engine combination. Next we get to spot the Oldsmobile Syndicate Group 29 442 Oldsmobiles with the W30 package. And I had a chance to talk to one of the organizers of this group.
Hi Dan, how are you? My name is John Keneally, and so this year I was one of the partners who put together the Oldsmobile Syndicate 6667 W30 Invitational display here at McCacken for 2021. We have 29 66 and 67 W30s attending. Behind you is my car, which is one of the 54 cars. It's the number 10 car. It is heater delete, radio delete, bench seat, and it's built on the F85 platform, which was the more or less the low-cost platform in 66. One of the only years you could do it in 66 is get the F85. I mean, get the 442 W30 package on the F85 platform. So I've owned the car since 1986, I believe, and I had it restored in Raleigh, North Carolina, by Scott Wilborn. Scott restored the car, and got 410 gears in the back, 4-speed bench seat, as I said, radio heated delete, tri-carb, ram air under the bumper scoops, battery in the trunk. Basically, there was 54 cars built for NHRA drag racing in 1966, and some of them were F85, some of them were Cutlasses, no convertibles. That's about as much as I can tell you about the car. other than it's
Well, what did they sell for back then? Like the stripped down one that you got?
I'll show you right here. We look at the window sticker.
Okay.
So
Got a small circus.
back then the car was $3,400. And this is what it included. So you got the L69 442 tri-car package, M21, which is basically your close ratio transmission. It's got the W30 forced air induction system, rocket rally pack, which this car has, heater delete, and anti-spin rear axle with 410 gears, and heavy duty radiator. Also radio delete.
Wow. So this, how many of these did they make?
Scott,
would
let
add
me ask
strip.
Scott. Scott restored the car. So this is Scott Wilborn.
How
Scott
you
actually
doing?
restored the car.
Hello.
So how many of these stripped down ones did they make?
I'm not sure.
I think there was 25 F-85s, if I'm not mistaken.
sounds right,
I think
yeah.
25 F-85s.
And-
Scott's restored most every one in the country, all the good ones.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
where are you out of?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay. They look beautiful.
Huh? Well,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah,
Great.
thanks. You did a wonderful job on.
Thank you, John. And now we spot Mr. Black. It's a tribute car, 442. It's a full-blown race car, a 9-second machine, and a chance to talk to the owner, Doug Miller.
Hi, I'm Doug Miller, and this is my car, a 1966 Olds 442. It's a tribute car to one that I raced 50 years ago, and I built this car about 10 years ago. It's been best of 973 at 136 in the quarter mile. It weighs in at about 2,900 pounds without the driver. It makes about 650 horsepower. So it goes good. It's fun to drive. It pulls big wheel stands, and I'm not sure what else.
So
to
what
tell
kind
you.
of engine is this, Cal?
This has got an Oldsmobile engine. It's actually a 496, so it's a 455 Olds with a 4.5-inch stroke, and it's a pump gas motor. So it's got a hydraulic roller cam, so it's actually a pretty mild motor.
Transmission?
Is a Turbo Hydro 350. It's got a 10-inch cone converter, 12-bolt Chevy, 12-bolt Chevy rear end with a. Right now we're running 373 gears. So this is actually a pretty mild motor. It makes about 640 horsepower.
And what times you turned?
970s.
970s.
And when I go to the drag strip, I primarily run at Sonoma Raceway, formerly Sears Point in Sonoma,
Oh,
California.
really? Okay.
And
The one road course I never raced.
yeah. I've not been to road course either. I race go-karts up there on their go-kart track. But anyway, in between rounds, I built this car so I don't have to lift the hood. So people walk by and they go, "What kind of motor you got in there?" And I say a 496, and they all assume it's a 496 Chevy. So they're psyched to learn that it's actually Oldsmobile powered.
Right. Okay. So you owned that white car over there.
I
and
did. I
you
just
race
saw-
that back then?
I raced that car. I bought that car in late 1970, and I raced it in 71 and 72, and that was the original Mr. Black. I bought it from a friend of mine who had painted it like this, so I built this car as a tribute to that one. And interestingly, there was a 40-year period where I didn't make a pass on a drag strip from the time I sold that car in 1975.
So what did that used to turn?
I got that car into the high 1180s with a
Okay.
4-speed and 488 gears.
And what was the engine then?
That had the W30 motor, but it had a big solid lifter crane cam in it, forged through pistons. It was 1972.
So explain this W30 to me a little better.
So they, in 1966, they made 54 of these cars because they wanted to compete with the GTOs. So what they did is they put the tri-car package on them, and then they put a really ornate air cleaner. You'll see it when you look at these. That goes down the bumpers in the scoops. They had a 308 duration cam, which sounded pretty rowdy. That car looked just like your father's Oldsmobile until you started it. The battery was in the trunk. They all came with 411 gears, and they only made 54 of them. So they
were a regular factory race car.
Yep, and then the NHRA made them run super stock because they only had 54 of them. The following year, in 1967, they made 504 so they could run in stock.
Oh, okay.
So they ran, and actually when I ran that white car in the early 70s, I ran it in super stock. So now this is just a bracket car. I run Summit ET, we run for money in the bracket racing there, and then on Wednesday night they have a little get-together where we get a couple of hundred cars. And
Right.
And they have a jackpot so you can run for some money. And, but bracket racing is pretty interesting because you can win it or lose it on the starting line or the finish line, and by thousandths of a second.
Thank you, Doug. And now we spot another 442 race car from the East Coast, and this was the 1966 NHRA C-Stock champion. And I had a chance to talk to the owner.
All right, I'm from Harleysville, Pennsylvania, and my name is Ross Hunsinger, and I've been an Olds collector and restoration guy for about 20 years. This car that we're looking at today is number 20 of the 54 that were produced in 1966. It went to Brainbow Oldsmobile in Brockton, Massachusetts, in Braintree, Massachusetts, and it was raced by two local Oldsmobile guys there. And in 1966, the W30s came out in June. All of them were produced in June. And this particular car won first place in the C-Stock Nationals at NHRA that year. So it was the fastest car in the country that day. And it won a lot of awards and races that year as well. So the car stayed a drag car all of its life, so it doesn't have many miles on it. So I bought the car from the driver. The driver was Lloyd Woodland, and the tuner was Bobby Andrasian. So the car turned up, and Woody owned the car for 4 years. He started the restoration and had the car in a million pieces. I bought it 10 years ago, and I've had it restored, the paint and body work done by Thornton Body Works out of Quakertown, PA. Troy's a friend of mine. And then Kenny Peacock and myself put the car back together, and just finished a full 4-year restoration. We just finished it 2 weeks ago for this show, but we did it exactly back to the specifications of the day it won first place at Nationals.
So that's the same paint would have been on it?
Absolutely identical down to every possible thing we could determine.
Right.
Yep, it's exactly as the day it won.
So what kind of times did it turn?
He set the record at 12:38, and nowadays I don't know. We didn't take it and test it, but we gave it a little more horsepower than it had back then.
Thank you, Ross, as we spot this great-looking Oldsmobile 442 jacket, and now another full-blown 442 race cars. Let's talk to the owner.
Hi, my name is Wayne Shipley. I live just outside of Baltimore on a little horse farm. And this is my 1966 Olds real 442. I have the window sticker for it and everything. I bought the car originally as a kind of as a shell in 2005. Spent the next 4 years compiling and putting together parts and things like this to finish the car. It's got a 455 Oldsmobile engine in it with a quadrajet carburetor, and it's a 4-speed car with a Jericho 4-speed in it. It's the best ET so far has been a 994 to 136. It's just a hoot to drive. I go back a long way. My first brand new Oldsmobile was in 1965, and I've been racing Oldsmobiles since 1965. And this is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
So it's not worth as much as with you racing it than if it was stock, right? But
definitely not worth as much. Because it is a modified car, but I have it's all steel except for the hood and the front bumper, but I have those original.
You have all
pieces
this.
already. I have all the original.
So
pieces.
it could be put back.
Oh, it could be put back, but it has Willwood brakes on it. It has a Jericho 4-speed. It has a strange Ultra rear.
Right,
so
right.
It's kind of. If you wanted to street it, you would have to do considerable work at this particular point. But,
Right.
it's
But you
just a
still
lot of
race
fun.
it. But you
I
still
race it. I was racing it Sunday, and curiously enough, I've been racing this car since 2009, and I broke it for the first time last Sunday. Transmission finger broke, and I had first gear and second gear, but I was going into fourth gear, and it broke the finger off. And there's no way to repair that without doing so. I put a new I had a spare transmission, a spare Jericho. I put that in on Tuesday and readjusted the shifter so everything is working right now. But that's what I get for taking it out. A few days before I have to bring it to Chicago, all the way from outside of Baltimore. Again, I have to thank Phil Walsh and James Canali for doing such a fantastic job on this 66 display. I wouldn't have driven 14 hours for just about anything except for those guys and for the Oldsmobile community.
Thank you, Wayne. What dedication. What dedication out of all these 442 W30 owners. Next car we're going to look at, one of 54, one of 8 F85 holiday coupes that were built in June of 1966. Look how beautiful this engine compartment is. And it states that this was one of 8 holiday coupes built on that F85 platform. A beautiful red Oldsmobile 442. As we look at some of the other cars, I didn't get to talk to everyone, but I'm sure each and every one of these owners has got a great story about owning one of these Oldsmobile 442s. And now I spot a 1962 Pontiac Catalina race car. The owner was nowhere to be found. But you can see it's got the Pontiac trademark truck wheels, 8-bolt truck wheels, in order to have better brakes on this car. And then I spotted a red 1963 Catalina, and this one has the 421 engine. Again, you can see the great looking Pontiac wheels. And over in the barn find, we spot this 65 Chevelle. Now this is very unique because this car came with a 396, 375 horse engine. Now my 3 friends, Jim Funk, Tom Yunker, and Danny Fitzsimmons, bought these cars in 1966. The body style was a little different. I got to drive and race on the street illegally Danny Fitzsimmons 396 with the 375 horse engine. It was probably one of the fastest cars that I ever drove, and I did win that drag race. I think we're on the frontage road off of US 12 by Pell Lake. And this is the Muscle Car and Corvette show. Now we're running out of time. I spotted a couple of these older Corvettes double headlights mean they're either a 58 or 59. The 60 had a little change in the body. These two are either 53s or 54s, the original Corvettes, and they only came with a 6-cylinder engine. Next week I'll be looking at some more Corvettes, but I didn't have a chance to talk to any of the owners. For more information on the Muscle Car and Corvette National, their website is mcacn.com, and make plans to join us in 2022 in Rosemont. I had a great time, and to contact me, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. I love to hear from my audience. Remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing, or you can go to Rumble and go Dan Schmitt TV. And I highly encourage you to plan a trip to the World of Motorcycle Museum in Winamac, Indiana, 4 miles south of North Judson on Indiana 39. Give them a call first at 574-896-3172. It is a great trip and a great collection of motorcycles.